So, like the image said, there's a reason I'm calling this the $4,000 toolbox. It's not because the toolbox itself costs anywhere near $4,000. The toolbox itself is $30. What this really is this is a practice kit for an airplane that I'm building. It's called a Vans Aircraft RV-10. It's a four-seater, a true four-seat airplane, which means it can actually hold 4 people plus fuel. It's a very high-performance airplane, very powerful, very fast, and it's going to take me 4 to 5 more years to build it. I bought the airplane from a gentleman who lives near me here in Austin that decided he didn't want to continue building. So as you can see back there, the wings are already built. But for those of you who are not familiar with the project I'm working on, you can look at Vans Aircraft and check out the RV-10. For those of you who are familiar with it, then you're following along right now as I'm building the practice toolbox. Now, the point of the toolbox is to familiarize yourself with the building techniques. A lot of people say that the techniques needed here, right now I'm clecoing, which are these little spring-loaded guys that hold pieces together. I'm drilling holes using the pneumatic driller, the air drill. First time I've ever used a lot of pneumatic tools, so that's it's a pneumatic cleco squeezer, so you could squeeze the clecos in and out, and now I'm deburring the holes, so that way the holes I just drilled aren't sharp on any sides. And like I said, they say that this is a great practice for the airplane because pretty much all the skills, or most of the skills that you need to build the airplane, are drilling holes, riveting, clecoing, riveting, deburring, riveting. And so in a moment here, you're going to see that I realize quickly I'm about to do things I've never done before. Dimple, first of all. So for flush rivets, I pulled out my chart to see what size dimple I needed, and then I grabbed the dimple, and when I go off camera, I'm going to a little squeezer that dimples the holes, and then I'm deburring them, and looks like drilling out something else. Oh, that's when I realized I'm about to dimple and rivet, and I've never done either. So before I did it on the actual toolbox, I grabbed some scrap metal, and you're gonna see in a second here that my first dimples and my first rivets are not so good. But again, that's why you do this. That's why you build this. And so again, maybe I didn't mention it, but the reason I call it the $4,000 toolbox is not because the toolbox itself costs $4,000. Like I said, it's a $30 toolbox. But you need about $4,000 in tools to build it. Now, of course, you can build it with less, but all of the tools to build the airplane, the air compressors, the dimples, the dies, the specialty drill bits, the specialty reamers, the squeezers, the riveters, everything that you need, all of the tools are about $4,000. Now, here you're going to see my first dimpling and riveting, not so good, which is why I decided to practice on these scrap pieces of metal. But as you're going to see here in a second, I get it figured out in time for the toolbox coming up right here. All right, so after watching tons of videos last night about riveting and dimpling, I was able to get these pieces dimpled. I used the DDRT or something, the deep die rivet tool. I had to use this guy, which is awesome, that the person I bought the plane from had one of these pair of pliers. That's just a washer, and they're holding it together, but let me see if I can open it up. Yep, oh, I lost the washer. It's a pair of pliers, vice clamps, with a dimpler built into it. I had to use that in the corners because I tried a whole bunch of other things and I couldn't get in there. And I used the squeezer for most of them. And I scratched up the inside a lot. I'm learning. I'll have to learn where to put tape and where not to put tape. But I only had to drill out 2 rivets. I'm still kind of getting used to the difference of, more pressure for less time or less pressure for more time. But I am really, really happy with this. They're pretty flush. They're pretty smooth. I've checked every single rivet. I had to keep pounding them and checking them and pounding them and checking them. But again, pretty happy with the first side. And now let's see how we do on the second side. All right, so on this side I used the squeezer with a much larger, deeper yoke, and I am so happy with everything except for my first smiley face that I showed you first. It was deep in the corner. The yoke slipped when I tried to tension it, and we're gonna drill that out and fix it, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. It's almost like it never happened. Still a little smiley in the sheet metal, but nice clean rivet, nice clean edge. Little bit of gap there, and again, this is practice. That's what we practice for. So we got the stiffener in the front. We got the hinge on in the back. It was really complicated. I mean, just the instructions, the explanation. So read that carefully to make sure you do this right. I mean, I'm 99% sure this is right. I'll let you know in the future if this is right when it's all done and all the clecos are removed. But then I only had these little clamps, which weren't great for holding this piece aligned while I drilled it, but I was able to get it done. So I drilled and clecoed the 2 outside holes, and then I'm going to work my way in and match drill all of those holes and get them clecoed, and then I'm going to take a break for the day. So this is the most fun I've had yet, is back riveting. I'm very happy with this. So this is the hinge, and it was dimpled, and then couldn't really get a yoke in there, and I didn't want to buck it. Bucking seems to be kind of the last resort. So I guess I did buck it, but I back riveted it against this plate right here and a little bit of tape, and came out so smooth, so perfect. So I love that. I still think it's weird that the hinge is on the outside, but I mean, if you look at the instructions, that's at least how I'm understanding it. Sure hope I did that right. Either way, I mean, it's fine. It's weird to me that the hinge is on the outside, but either way, everything closes up nice. So far, so good. It's looking good. I'm really, really happy with it. Now all we've got to do is this, the front piece right here, kind of the doubler stiffener that also acts as like a guide. Let me see if I can get this open. As a guide to get that front door closed in there properly. So I'm gonna upsize these, or I think it's already sized. I just have to final match drill it with a number 30, and then we're gonna use these, the first time I've used a round head rivet, not a flat head rivet. So that'll be fun to try. So here it is, all finished. Put the pretty little van sticker on it. I am incredibly proud of how this came out. I have to say, this took a lot of mental power, a lot of engineering power. I mean, I had to learn how to use a lot of tools and a lot of processes that I've never done before, starting with, I've never dimpled before, I've never riveted before. We do a lot of the dimpled and, what's the word I'm looking for? The flush rivets, and then we have some universal rivets. We had to drill some holes, so a lot of measuring just to make sure. Then we use universal rivets, hinge wires. But I mean, I'm really happy with how this came out. I bucked some rivets, as you can see by the scratches in there. I squeezed some rivets. I did some back riveting. But overall, I'm incredibly happy. The one piece of advice that maybe I would give anyone who's working on this project that I tried to do is treat this like it's the plane. Obviously, it's not. The plane is here. Mostly built from the gentleman or at least the wings, the empennage, the tail cone, from the gentleman that I bought the already started kit from. So I have a lot of catching up to do because I don't have the ability to work on the empennage and work on some things. I'm getting right into like the real stuff when I start working on this plane. Not that the empennage isn't real, but I treated this project like every rivet on here was a rivet that's holding the wing skin on. I treated every rivet on here as if this were the airplane. So I would suggest the same thing. I measured every rivet to make sure they were correct. If I wasn't happy with them, I drilled them out and did them again. And overall, what a great little project. I'm so proud of this toolbox. This toolbox will remain with me forever. It's more than just a $30 toolbox. I call this the $4,000 toolbox because of all the tools I needed to get this little thing built. So I hope you enjoy your toolkit or toolbox, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I believe in the next video, we'll be doing the light box. See y'all later.